Compass Mining makes Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone. Start mining in as little as 48 hours with our turnkey hardware, online and mining directly to your Bitcoin wallet within 2 business days. Find out more at compassmining.io and get started now. Hey miners, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the new home of power mining analysis. Wednesday morning, Donald Trump is back in the White House as the president of the United States. Bitcoin has taken off in a major way overnight, surpassing new all-time highs, currently trading hands around $74,400 US. And as expected, obviously the Bitcoin mining stocks have exploded in a big way. This is really the day we've all been waiting for in the sector, you guys. In my opinion, just starting to scratch the surface of what's to come in terms of Bitcoin over the next few quarters. We're going to be dissecting all of that and more in today's video. We've also got production out from a number of the miners today and some key developments in the Bitcoin mining space. So an action-packed podcast. Before we get into it though, take a second, smash the like button, 100% free to do. Huge help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join and let us know in the comment section below how your portfolio is looking today and your thoughts on the presidential outcome of yesterday's election. With that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay, guys, so it's all smiles around the power mining analysis studio this morning. This is really the catalyst or the day we've been waiting for, Anthony. Ever since you and I went down to Nashville, we heard RFK Jr.'s remarks, we heard Trump's remarks, we talked about the strategic reserve. Ever since that day, we've been waiting for November 5th to come. And here it is. Trump is back in the chair as the president of the United States. Bitcoin has taken off, setting new all-time highs overnight, and the miners have absolutely exploded this morning. So we've got a lot to talk about in addition to the regular news and production updates. Anthony, you've got a smile like I've never seen before, buddy. How are you feeling this morning?
Feeling really good today, actually. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night for obvious reasons. But yeah, I mean, great day for Bitcoin, great day for mining, and apparently a great day for the US.
Yeah, apparently, market is really responding well. I saw a tweet from Trump saying he hasn't slept in 2 days. I think I'm getting pretty close to that as well. As you say, very difficult to get any shut-eye when the price of Bitcoin is moving like this. So that being said, Anthony, Bitcoin currently trading hands around 74,400. It surpassed the new all-time high last night, just prior to closing of the polls. What are your thoughts on how this all transpired?
Well, we've been watching the Bitcoin price for the last few weeks. We've mentioned it on a number of podcasts. I think we started last week saying that this week we'd probably reach all-time high. We did. And surprising thing now is everybody with Bitcoin's in profit, effectively. That's the way to look at it. Nobody's in a loss at the moment. And, you know, this is just a start. We're so early at the moment. If I'm led to believe half the analysts out there where Bitcoin price is going to, and there's been some really good updates in recent weeks about the Bitcoin price going to 3 million by the year 2050. Hope I'm still around to enjoy that. But no, it's a great week. But it was anticipated. It was anticipated more if there was a Trump victory, because Trump's been vocal about supporting Bitcoin in various speeches. And bear in mind, 40 to 50 million Americans have got some sort of crypto in their wallets, in their exchanges. So that's a big proportion. Not the same in the UK by no stretch of the imagination. And just to give you an understanding here, they did a poll today and 57% of the public of the UK were disappointed with the result in America. So only 9% were happy. So I'm one of the 9%. Obviously, I was quite pleased. Having been to Nashville with you, having listened to the speech, having listened to the speech of RFK as well, which I thought was a really good speech, and from somebody who's actually really understood Bitcoin, had a lot of his assets in Bitcoin, and you know, you could sort of get behind it. And then you've got the likes of Michael Saylor. Well, enough said about Michael Saylor. He just, you know, if you're ever feeling down about Bitcoin price, listen to one of his 20-minute videos. You'll be perked right back up and buying it before you'll be selling your house to buy Bitcoin before the end of the day. But yeah, no, really good day today.
I was going to say, let me just remortgage my house before I listen to that Michael Saylor speech. Now, you bring up some great points about Donald Trump and about Bitcoin. We heard from Dennis Porter that as the president comes into office, there's about 10,000 appointments that they'll actually make. So they may go in, make the top 100 or 200 Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, those kind of ones, and then they'll appoint from there. And from there, they're going to appoint maybe 100 or 200 people under them. So it will be interesting. You say this is just the start of the Bitcoin bull run. As we start to see these pro-Bitcoiners start to take positions in the organization, really excited to see what happens there. So with that being said, we've covered Bitcoin price. We've covered the mid-morning miner update. 2 A+ marks there. Now we've got production results out. We're going to start off with HUT 8 today. We've got 4 to go through, plus some additional news, which again, extremely exciting for the sector.
Absolutely. So in terms of HUT 8, bear in mind, what you got to remember HUT 8 is it's self-mining is actually a very small part of the actual business itself. So it has a managed service business, it has a hosting business as well. It's also now looking to utilize its power into the HPC AI space. We'll hear more updates from Asher when we get him on the podcast this month with earnings. But today we're just talking about the self-mining, so really small part of it. From a self-mining perspective, they haven't really refreshed the fleet, but we'll come on to that in a second because there's some interesting updates about the fleet that they've got and what they're going to be doing in the future. But from an October production update, they mined 83 Bitcoin. Now, actually, that was 15% more than they did in September. Now, allowing for an extra day's Bitcoin, that's still a nice increase. It's not where it needs to be. It needs to be higher than that, but it's going in the right direction. They've only got, in terms of self-mining, and if you take away the element that doesn't belong to them, the JV, they've got about 4.7 exahash of self-mining and total power of about 140. But the striking thing for me is the HODL. And, at the moment, only Marathon Digital and Riot Platforms have a larger HODL. And HUT comes in at third place at the moment with 9,110 Bitcoin. Now, just to put that into context, that had a valuation as at the end of September, so this will be an undervalued compared to what it is today, of $640 million. So the Bitcoin price today is another 4,000 more than that. So that would be another effectively 37 million on top of that. So that would take it to close to about $675 million in Bitcoin HODL, which is a sizable amount. And that will help them as they, look to secure, opportunities going forward. And that leads me nicely onto today's second update from HUT 8. And this was the announcement of that fleet upgrade, the ASIC fleet upgrade, with the acquisition of just over 31,000 Bitmain Antminer 21 plus miners. That's about, by my reckoning, about 6.7 exahash. They're scheduled for delivery in early Q1 2025. And what that will do, it'll enhance the company's self-mining capacity all the way up to 9.3 and improve the efficiency by 37% to just under 20 joules a terahash, 19.9 joules a terahash. And, that takes them into, from a fishing perspective, that takes them into that top group of 3 or 4 miners. So, really good uptake today. It's going to happen in the next 3 or 4 months. We've been waiting for an update from HUT for a long time on self-mine. They've been growing the hosted business. They've been growing the management business, management services business. Now the other piece of the jigsaw puzzle was the self-mining. This is a good update. And basically this will, align the company's, focus on efficiency, where they're going to target a hash rate of 4 exahash and a fleet efficiency of 15.7. So they're going to be competing with the likes of IREN. And this is by Q2 2025. So really good update today. Asher, who we'll have on the podcast in a week or so's time, says that the S21 Plus provides, a great return profile. And, it's going to create value in both the Bitcoin mining and the AI compute infrastructure for Hut 8. So this is a really good update today, really positive update. Yeah, we look forward to seeing those machines and then getting that production back to where it needs to be. So yeah, good update.
Yeah, definitely agree. We were waiting to get some big fleet upgrade news out from Hut 8 Corp. It's great to see that. Speaking of HPC AI, the next one we want to talk about is Bit Digital. As a reminder, we have Core Scientific Adam Sullivan on tomorrow. We've characterized the CoreWeave deal as the deal of the year, Anthony, but hot on their heels is Bit Digital. They just purchased a tier 3 data center. And interestingly enough, they now list their HPC revenue as the first line on their update. So coming in with 4.3 million in the month of October. Why don't we take a look at Bit Digital's October results?
Yeah, no, Bit Digital had a really solid month. Now, bear in mind, we know the self-mining, they're not looking to grow that at the moment. No growth plans for that there. So they're still utilizing about 2.43 exahash. I think they've got a total of about 2.8, so just slightly lower than their full installed hash rate. They mined 52.2 Bitcoin, which again was slightly about 1% more than it was last month. But bear in mind, there was an extra day. So probably close to being on a par with what they mined in September. The key thing for them is they highlight the HPC revenue, and that was 4.3 million as opposed to 4.2 million for the month of September. So we know that contract is 50 million annualized. That's exactly what that figure reflects there. We've already talked about the other updates that they've got with their Boosteroid client, and that's starting at about $1 million a year, but has the potential, if Boosteroid take the option, to increase the number of servers to get to 700 million. And we know that Bit Digital has started to purchase their own infrastructure. So they've already got one of their own sites there, which they're refurbishing out now. And they're looking at that as a strategy going forward to own their own infrastructure and focus at the moment, from what I'm seeing with Sam and various updates, focusing far more on the HPC side. Again, we'll get Sam on the podcast when earnings come out, and we'll be able to get more clear indication of where they are at that point in time. But, really good update today. A couple of other key things to talk to you about is obviously the size of their HODL. Bear in mind, for a company that's around about, $500 million, maybe getting towards 600 million after today's uplift in terms of market cap. They've got 781 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And again, at the end of September, that was worth close to $55 million. They've got an even bigger HODL of Ethereum, so 27,503 Ethereum. That gives them, a HODL value at the end of September, 69.2. They've got nearly 80 million in cash. So you've got a treasury position of about $204 million. That's literally getting on for nearly half the market capitalization. You go in and buy Bit Digital, and you've got 204 million in the bank. So that's basically there as operating once you take over the company. Try and get it for 600 million. That's another story, but we'll cover that another day. But that just gives you an indication that some of these companies have got really good enterprise value. Bit Digital has got zero debt. That is zero debt, no debt. They just pay for everything by cash. And they just HODL everything effectively. They've HODLed most of their, in fact, they've HODLed everything this month. And the third part of their business stream is actually they stake their Ethereum, and they were able to achieve, I think it was about 62 Ethereum. So again, increases the HODL size there. So 62 Ethereum was rewarded to them. If you look at the price of Ethereum, that's $2,500. That's probably close to $150,000 just in Ethereum staking. That's an annualized revenue of about $1.5 million. So again, just for staking basis, it's a nice earner for the company. Some of these, companies are looking to try and get HPC contracts and may not have, significantly more than that in terms of HPC. But Bit Digital have got three good business streams there, and great revenues, no debt. Another good update.
Compass Mining is your trusted partner in Bitcoin mining. Whether you're investing in one machine or thousands, our customizable solutions are tailored to meet your needs. We are your experts in Bitcoin mining, offering a platform where individuals and businesses can purchase hardware, host machines, and access a range of ancillary Bitcoin mining services. We also specialize in large-scale site development and data center operations. Discover more at compassmining.io and see how we can power your success today.
No, you're totally right about Bit Digital, Anthony, and that HODL value, as you say, may be looking quite a bit more sizable after today's trading. So a tremendous update there. Next, we have IREN. Now, yesterday I talked about some of the month-over-month production increases. We saw 2% from Marathon, we saw 23% from Riot, and then we saw even in the 30s from some of these miners like DMG, who significantly refreshed their fleet. IREN was up 27% month over month. As you alluded to, the most efficient fleet in the pack right now, and they're continuing to add hash rate really at the opportune time as the price of Bitcoin is really starting to take off. So IREN looking very favorable, another fan favorite in the Miner Madness competition. What did you think about October?
Yeah, October was a great month, and effectively what we saw in October was, if you remember rightly, at the end of September they'd achieved 21 exahash, but obviously when you're installing machines, you're not able to utilize them during that particular month. So, in terms of total installed hash rate, it hasn't changed from the end of September to the end of October. However, when we look at what the operational hash rate, that certainly has increased, and that increased by 21% from 16.5 exahash to an average of 19.9 exahash. So that's operating around about the 95%. In terms of utilization, so a good amount of mining there. And bear in mind, think where most of IREN's machines are held, and they're held at the Childress site in Texas. And in Texas, you're required to curtail the part of the 4CP program. So there's regular curtailments to help the domestic requirement out there. So all the miners take part in that particular service and also benefit from it. Now they mined 27% more, as you rightly said, 439 Bitcoin. So it's a really good total to achieve. In terms of operational power, they're utilized in the 5.6 at the moment. It will be 510 megawatts of power by the time they get to the end of the year, and they've put the extra 10 exahash online, because at the moment they're showing 21. 31 is going to be there in about 8 weeks' time. So I'm sure between now and the end of November, we'll get another update to say more hash rate going online, and then they'll get their target in the final month there. But it's all on one site, and if the job needs to be pushed a bit further, I'm sure they've got the staff on site to get that where it needs to be. So no real doubts about them achieving their hash rate by the end of the year. They do sell Bitcoin on a daily basis. However, Dan has indicated in recent updates and interviews that, at the right point in time, they will consider doing the HODL as well. They just feel at the moment that by utilizing the sales from the revenues from selling Bitcoin, that they can utilize that in growth more effectively than just totally diluting everything to achieve growth and operational costs. Another good part to tell you is the electricity cost. So bear in mind, if you remember July, it was 61,000 to mine a Bitcoin. Well, in October now, with that efficiency of 16 joules a terahash, and able to use the market rate, just like we heard from Jason Les on the podcast this week. Jason spoke at length about the power costs, and if you haven't seen that podcast, go to it. Even if you click on the link to that podcast, it's broken down by all the segments. You can go to the segments that you're interested in. There's a big segment on power on there, and it looks like IREN are doing exactly the same here. And if you look at the price they're paying now, instead of 61,000, it's down to just under $21,000 per Bitcoin. That gives them something like a 68% margin on the Bitcoin mining, which is, that's really helpful. Bear in mind, we saw miners not achieving 68% before the halving, and the rewards have dropped now. And IREN, with an efficient fleet, are still getting really, really good margins. So this will bode really well for the Q4 results, because October is part of Q4. September, I'm afraid, will have, the cost of changing or moving out of that hedge position, and also the cost for July by utilizing that hedge for the first month. So there's an extra cost that's going to be in their Q3 update, and I'm sure Dan will, explain that when he does the earnings update there. But that will probably impact any potential hope for profit. And bear in mind, the miners in Q3 will be, it'll be red across the board. But Q4 at these sort of rates could be really interesting. The final part of their update is about their HPC AI, and we know that their contract with their previous client that ceased, I think, back in August. And so when we looked at September's revenues, it dropped to 0.7 million for the month. Well, if you look at October's now, it's back at 1 million a month. That's 12 million a year annualized revenue by my calculation. They're bringing in some of the H200s now, so 1,000 or more H200s onto their books. That'll give them a lot more opportunity to utilize that on-demand service. And another good point to notice is they've brought forward the date for their 1.4 gigawatt site, which I don't think ground's been broken there yet, but they brought forward the date of that, I think, till April 2026. So, you're looking at another 18 months, which will take, if you think about the likes of Corsicana, go back nearly 2 years ago, and they were breaking ground about that period there. So depending on what's required to the ground, I mean, Corsicana was a challenging environment. They had to get rid of 75,000 trucks of waste, and we actually met the driver of that truck who did all those journeys, and he was able to give an indication how many hours a day he was working to do that job. But IREN might have a better site for delivering, so it might take them a little bit quicker. But they're buying all the power parts, all the key long-term parts that take a while for ordering and delivering. Some of these parts take up to 12 months, so they've already got those orders in place now. I'm assuming you'll see in the next few months, you'll see some updates with some of the senior directors there with shovels in their hands, starting the dig the ground. And then we'll get regular updates as that site starts to be built. And bear in mind, there's a number of potentials that can happen with that site. I mean, you don't even necessarily have to develop it. They could actually sell it at a profit to a hyperscaler. Bear in mind, for those that don't know, Amazon didn't get their deal to use the, I think it's a Nautilus site. So the site that TeraWulf sold their stake in, I think that's been rejected, for Amazon to utilize that nuclear power station there to deliver HPC AI. So there may be some of these big hyperscalers are now looking for other sites, and guess who's got the other sites? So a lot of these Bitcoin mining companies have got certainly either sites or options on these sites, and IREN, CIFR, TeraWulf, Marathon probably fit into that bracket. So a number of miners there to look out for. We've already articulated at the start of the podcast, CIFR's share price over 25% up today. So is that telling us something? TeraWulf's also up. IREN's also up. Is that telling us a story? I'll let you work that one out for yourselves. But yeah, another great update by IREN today, and just seems to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, I'm seeing that story play out as well. And you're right. I have seen some concerns recently with these blue chip hyperscalers trying to really push the boundaries in terms of what they can set up, timelines, types of energy, types of power, which does make the portfolios of these miners even more valuable. You also brought up an interesting point about market rate, the power discussion with Riot. Take a look in that segment, you guys, specifically about transmission fees. There's really some interesting discussion between Jason talking about how 4CP works in the state of Texas and some of the kickback benefits after you've been a part of that for a 12-month or 1-year initial term. Now, the next miner up is Bitdeer, Anthony. We talked about them in relation to their Seal Miner roadmap. This is another company that in recent memory has had multiple double-digit days to the upside. A lot of excitement about Bitdeer right now. Why don't we walk through them and take us home?
Yeah, so Bitdeer announced their update today. They mined 174 Bitcoin, so 6% more than they did in September. They've actually increased the hash rate to 8.4. So as they are reducing their cloud hash rate business, they're starting to increase or use those machines and put them into self-mining. And self-mining is a more profitable business during the bull cycle. For obvious reasons, the Bitcoin price, rallying. In terms of a fleet efficiency, not the greatest fleet efficiency, so on a par with Hut 8 at the moment. But, one thing that Bitdeer have that none of the other miners have is they can produce their own machines in-house, and they are starting to do that now. And they're producing their Generation 2 miner, which is the Seal Miner 2, and that's got a great efficiency rate. It's 18.5 joules a terahash. A lot of those machines will start coming into play in this next couple of months. So by the end of the year, they expect to increase their hash rate and also replace some of the older stock. So really looking forward to that. 2025 is their year because they've got a significant amount of sites that they're in development at the moment. They've got sites in Ohio, in Texas, in Bhutan, in Norway. So they're covering the whole, literally, 3 or 4 different continents, never mind states in North America. And so, we'll get, more of an understanding from what they're doing next week. They're also doing HPC. So they've got a HPC model in Singapore. It's very small, but what these small projects are is it's proof that you can deliver it. So you go out there, you set up a model, could be couple of 100 kilowatts or even a megawatt, prove that you can deliver that, and then you can scale up. It's no use going out there thinking, let's just go and build a 50 megawatt site for HPC. If you've got no experience at all in that space there, that could be the biggest and worst investment at the same time. So they're doing things in the correct way, the same way that we've seen the likes of Soluna Holdings doing as well. Start with these small projects. Once you've got your feet and you've got your legs and all that, you can then start delivering that project at scale because you've covered all the things that can go wrong from a smaller scale there, and you've learned a lot from it. Remember, we talked to these mining companies who are building out their sites. We spoke to Dan Roberts, we spoke to Jason about the sites there. When they're building these sites, the learning curve from starting with some of the buildings and things they learn as they go through and are able to improve and therefore really ramp up installation. It's the same thing for all these types of projects. You've got to start small and grow from there. And I like the way that Bitdeer are doing this. They're also, not going out full, headlong into these creating their own mining companies. I mean, bear in mind, Bitdeer have got the advantage against the other miners. They were formerly part of Bitmain, so it comes as no shock to anybody that they're doing this. And from what I'm led to believe, and we'll get clarification from Harris and Jeff when we get them on the next podcast when earnings comes out, they've got orders for these miners when they start to actually sell them as well. So people are already making orders already. I think there's a significant amount of orders in place. If they're like the other suppliers, they'll be sharing these mining machines with mining companies to test them out. When you're a big miner, you'll get a selection of MicroBT, Bitmain miners. I'm sure that Bitdeer will want to be putting some of their miners out there in the market. And if the price starts to increase in terms of like they did in 2021 when we saw the price for the S19s, I think they went from literally about $3,000 a machine all the way up to $8,000-9,000 machine at the high back in sort of like November, December 2021. If that happens again, then Bitdeer is sitting really pretty. If the price doesn't go up, what they can do is they can just literally change their whole fleet at the moment and just grow their own hash rate. But if the price rises, they have an option to sell these machines and get profit from the production side of it. So it's really a win-win because they have a win either way there. They can either increase their own hash rate, or if the price is favorable and they can make significant profits quickly, then they can sell the machines. So Again, it's a good update from Bitdeer. I like the diversification that they have there. They've covered literally all the boxes. I think if they had an energy company as well, then they've ticked everything, because they do everything else apart from their own energy. So as I say, it's another good update.
Yeah, it for sure is. And I remember one of the first interviews with Jeff LaBerge after they announced the Seal Miner. They already had over 1 million pre-orders on the Bitdeer website. So I can only imagine how that pre-order list has grown. Really does put them in a position of power, as you say, Anthony, as this bull market emerges. It's been great to see all of these companies preparing, going through the halving, getting their fleets, their exahash, their efficiencies prepared. And now that we've broken through this all-time high, it's really pedal to the metal and make as much money as possible for this bull run. So as we've been talking here, Bitcoin continues to move up. We're now over $74,440. We'll see how this day ends, Anthony, but a phenomenal start to Trump's presidency for the Bitcoin mining stocks and the crypto market overall. Anthony, I'll throw it back to you for any closing thoughts, but a phenomenal Wednesday in the markets here and for the account.
It really is a great Wednesday. And bear in mind, we look at some of these mining companies. We said yesterday the likes of TeraWulf, they've reached all-time high today, and so have Core Scientific. But you look at likes of CleanSpark. CleanSparks are up 17% today, 17.7%. They're still 98% away from their all-time high this year. So they've still got nearly double the share price to get to their all-time high. Riot are 63% from their all-time high this year. Look at IREN. IREN are 46% away. Bitdeer 63. Bitfarms 83. Soluna 143. So there are some big gains. But if we look at, and I always find this interesting, when we started the competition, which has been going really well, and we're really grateful, people coming on the website every day to check their results. We have the live link to the website, so you can go on there, tap your name in, and you'll find out where you are in the league table. If you look at the top performing companies, I'm just going to talk about the top 5 performing companies since the 1st of October. Today is November the 6th, so we're only sort of 5 weeks from the start of the competition. CIFR up 69.5%, Wulf 61%, Riot 55%, HUT 53%, and then there's a drop to CleanSpark at 34%. That's the top 5. So an incredible move for the top 5. And I was also looking, everyone in the competition is in positive territory. So that's a really good sign. Yesterday, there were 40 people who weren't in positive territory. That's how good a day we're having today. So let's keep it going. Let Bitcoin keep rallying. Great day for Trump. Great day for Bitcoin. Great day for Bitcoin miners.
It sure is. What a fitting ending, you guys. Hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. Let us know in the comment section how you're feeling, how the portfolio's looking, and we'll see you back here tomorrow alongside Adam Sullivan for Core Scientific earnings.